Body. Let me make sure. Yes, we've got that. We're good to go. Let me go ahead and find the chat. I can have that aside. There we go. Okay. And we're live. Jason is going to be here with me in just a minute. Thank you, Tim. I appreciate the feedback. Beat me to it before I could ask. Jason was just had a package being delivered, so he needed just a few minutes before he got started with us. So I am going to go ahead and get started with, where is it? This right here. We're going to start off each day, and I know we don't see the screen just yet. We will in just a moment. Let me go ahead and share my screen. If you can see that, let me know, please. And of course, where did the chat go? There we are. Okay. Hello, Dennison. Actually, I was just seeing if you had seen your homework review or your trades review, Dennison, and just to see what you thought about it. Hopefully it went well for you. All right. I have been sneezing like it's my job, y'all, so I'm just gonna apologize right now. So it just won't stop. Our cars are covered in pollen right now. So I'm just dealing with it the best way I know how. And that's with a ton of Claritin and Sudafed. So let me go ahead and take one of these Claritin right now, real quick. Okay, I'm glad you liked it. Jason, I see you there. We're here together now. Go ahead and unmute him.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah. And Jason, if you want to request a remote control. All right, guys. So to start off, let's just go ahead. We've got the disclaimer up here. Obviously, this is for educational purposes only. We are not financial advisors, and these are definitely the expressed opinions of responsible day trading. So we just want to put that out there first before we kick this off. Okay, there we go. I'm going to improve that. All right. So let's start off our day. It may be a bit of a busy day today because we got a lot of stuff going on. All right. And guys, if you can hear everything okay in YouTube, I see y'all over there. Let me know if you got questions. Just reach out. We'll be happy to help. Okay. So what we want to first talk about, guys, is being here with these classes and things. And we do have a new website. So if you want to know about RDT, if you want to know about the courses, the vault is where we have all of recorded videos. I did have a losing day the other day. I need to put it in there. I ended up, after commissions, I think it was like 124 down. So it will be going in there. I did record it. So you get to see me being human. We've got our student hub area here, the learning center, if you want to know about you profit in order to help yourself get funded. Guys, we are also doing a thank you, Tim. So good job on keeping the loss small. Yeah, I mean it's tough. I wanted to trade one more trade, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm done. It's fine. It's okay to walk away with a losing day. But if we are talking about the classes that we're going to have, guys, we are now giving away a lot of the course curriculum between chapters 1 and 4 in our course, sections 1 and 4. Some of these we're not going to have the entire thing there. There's some things that are very specific to responsible day trading. We're actually going to be removing those from the course. So if you have it now, just take a look through it. But we are also walking through these as well. So we're having classes where we're going to be walking through these. If you want to see the live class schedule, it is right here. So you can see last month we had a trader meetup, one for coffee, one for drinks. So anytime we do those will be here. And you can see here is the class for me and Jason, where you can always go here and join from here. On Monday, Dan and Cesar are going to be giving our live market analysis. So that should be a lot of fun. And then
Mhm.
so we're going to do these classes on Saturdays this month. We're trying to switch them up. We did them on Thursday last month. We're going to do them on Saturdays this month. Um, just to see if we can give people different opportunities to come in and join the classes as well. So if you want to be part of the class, you can click here and it will also take you back to this page where you can sign up for the course and you can get those first sections for free. So I cannot remember who's teaching the first class. I actually think it's me that's teaching the
Mhm.
first class. So I think y'all will be there with me. And then I know Jason, you're teaching one, I think, and Dan and
Yeah.
Cesar. And then Dan or Cesar and Davis will also be teaching those classes in Spanish, kind of side by side with these two as that goes on. So, all right, so let's get this party started. Let's head on over to the news. We're going to look at market news. We've had a lot of news this week. Every day has had news, and it just doesn't seem to be that way that often anymore. And we've had a lot of movement going on as well. So today we're going to have news 30 minutes after the market opens and then an hour after the market opens. So we're going to have it'll be right about the time we're shutting down, but if it's going a little wild, we may stick around for a little bit for a few minutes and check it out. And I'm going to go ahead and bring up my daily chart. We're going to look at that. Maybe let me grab it. Hello. Okay, sometimes when I open this all the way, it freezes up. All right, we're good to go. All right, so we can see, as we've talked about before, we had the high back in December 2021, and we have exceeded that high. So and exceeding that high, it's not by a whole lot, but guys, we've gotten back up there and gotten back above things, which is it's been a long journey to getting back up there. We had these big moves to the downside that really look like we may be shifting this to the downside until we got back up, broke above this, which that was a little bit higher, but that's okay. We got back above this area, pulled back into it, and now we've gotten back above the EMAs, back above the zero line, which tells us we have direction to the upside, being above the EMAs and the zero line. Now we have pulled back just a little bit here, and we're pushing back up towards that all-time high. So far, MACDs, they are leading lower, but they're also kind of in that what's the word I want to use? Just that in between area because it's right in between the Bollinger Band. And we're kind of waiting to see if it's going to pop that top Bollinger Band and move up, or if it's going to pop the bottom Bollinger Band and pull back down. I mean, and realistically, we will be expecting this to pull back towards the EMAs at some point in time, right? It's not going to just go up and up forever. So we do see these pullbacks that happen here. We've got a little pullback here. Typically, I like to see it what I call bring the drama, which means it pushes up a little bit higher, almost like a really sharp push, and then pulls back. But we may see something more along the lines of this happen right here, how it's pulled back here and pushed away from the EMAs. Let me sneeze here in just a second. Um, um, And so we may see that happen and pull back into the EMAs. These EMAs are a little bit stronger than what we saw right here. They were showing strength, but we didn't have a whole long-term strength. So it may take a lot more work to break through those EMAs. All right, Jason, I'm going to pull up the 28657 and you can talk about that. And I'm going to mute myself for just a moment.
Okay, yeah, no worries.
Let me
Got my
find this.
coffee here and ready to go.
Okay, let me pull this up. And you have access. So I will be back in just a moment.
Okay, so um have we got control? Let's have a look. Yep. Okay, just pull this out a bit. Okay, so looking at what's happened on the 28657, um, right now we're just holding on close to the EMAs. There is the potential. I mean, seeing that reversal bar there, it looks like it does want to push on up a bit higher. We are above the zero line and we are above the EMAs. So it does potentially look like it does want to push on up a bit higher. Obviously, we do have some divergence across the main pivots here against the MACDs. But potentially it looks like it's gonna, it might be able to push up here and retest this all-time high here, this pivot over here, maybe even break it. We'll have to see. I mean, we've got big news coming out today, or fairly significant news. So we could do that. We could break away from the EMAs and try another higher high here. We want to pay close attention to what's happening on the BBs and how they are. They're just looking like they can't quite zoom in on this myself on the screen share, but it looks like they're trying to break out of the Bollinger Bands here.
Where is it? You
So
want to zoom in? Right here?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, sorry. There you go.
Or are they still on the inside? Looks like they're still on the inside there. So they're just using that lower
Yeah.
Bollinger Band as support. So we'll see, or we want to wait to see, um, at least from my perspective, these BBs breaking out of the Bollinger Bands to one side or the other. So
Yeah.
if we start to break to the downside, then potentially this could make a move to the downside.
Yeah.
We have got this sort of support area over here that we could
Jason,
move
you'll need to
towards.
grab the mouse again whenever I
Got
moved
it.
it. There you go.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So obviously we've got a couple of support areas here, two sort of levels, one more intermediate one here, and a bit more of a solid, significant one down here. So potentially we could move down here, retest that area, or maybe stop at the higher time frame EMA, break straight through. Obviously this was a huge move to the upside, tons of strength. Um, so there is potential for this to maybe move down and retest some of these other areas over here later on. But right now, we are, our bias is to the upside, and we're looking at this continuing on up and maybe retesting that previous area. Keep a close eye on the MACDs, see how it works out.
Yes, sir. All right. Yeah, and
Righty
like,
woo.
we've got this great reversal bar here, but we also had a great reversal bar to the downside
Yeah,
there, so
yeah.
it's kind of that, oh yeah, it looked like it was going to push down, then oh, immediately turned around and looked like it was going to push up right after that. So it's a little bit of a fight. Maybe the MACD is leading lower. I will expect it to kind of expect it to push down,
Mm,
but we've still got direction up. EMAs are still opened up, so it could
yeah,
surprise me, just roll up that bottom Bollinger Band and push
yeah.
up.
It
So
might come down to some fundamentals on the news. It's going to
yeah.
make a decision based on that.
Okay. Grab it over here. It's weird.
Right now, it definitely looks like, I mean, just looking at the 1597, it looks like a bit of a wait and see kind of
Yeah. Oh
scenario
yeah.
here with a consolidation, and it's sort of wedging at the moment. It doesn't know which way it's going to go. But I think when it makes its mind up, potentially it could be a mover.
Oh
Um,
yeah. I mean, we do have to keep in mind that it's Friday. Sometimes Fridays it starts to slow down a little
it's true.
bit.
Yeah.
Especially as we're getting closer to the end of the day. But there's also people just trying to get out of their positions on Fridays as well. So give
Mhm.
me just a second. I use some nose spray, so hopefully that will help make me not sound like a like a honking horn. Okay, so let's look at the 10946. We are above the EMAs. Our direction is up, above the zero line, direction is up. Um, these are very weak EMAs though, which means they're going to be very easy to violate. We can see where the price continued to make new highs, MACDs continuing to make new lows. So, and sometimes that will happen as it's kind of trying to, I guess, reset, because the MACDs had gotten so high up here. At this point, it had to do some work to kind of reset it. And even this is a little bit higher. So that this is an extreme, extreme high. This is a typical high right in here. So
Hmm.
this was some overnight action, and a lot of times we'll see those extreme moves in the MACDs and in the price and overnight action. Um, so this is our typical extreme high right about here, maybe as high as about 10. Um, but so what we usually see is when that price is pulling away so far from the EMAs and the MACDs have gotten so far away from the zero line, it does what I like to think of as a reset, where it kind of pulls back and makes these divergences and pulls back a little lower until the price and the MACDs are more in tune around the zero line and the EMAs. So right now, it's got it looking like it wants to continue up. It is a little harder with this little bit of a lower pivot, and the MACDs didn't have a strong push up right here when this pulled up. But to me, it does look like it's got a little bit more of an opportunity to move to the upside. We don't even open for another 15 minutes. Um,
Yeah.
but when we're looking at the 1597, something we see here is going above and below the EMAs and above
Mhm.
and below the zero line, which shifts our direction up and down and up and down. And so that makes it just a little bit harder to really um, depend on these areas of the EMAs to be
Mm.
strong areas to take a trade. With this getting just smaller and smaller and smaller, the way it did right in here, the bar is just getting tinier and tinier and tinier. That's usually a pretty good indication that we're going to get a pop in one
Yeah.
direction or the other. And it is looks like it's trying to pop to the upside. We need to see it cross this top Bollinger Band and really start to move to the upside. If we're looking at the 233, direction is tried to remain up for the most part. This was our first bar that pulled away. It closed a little bit lower here, but it really struggled to make the direction to the downside. But MACDs are outside. They're starting to get a little bit lighter, so we need to see these stay with a bit of a strength to the upside in order to anticipate breaking back above here and moving up in this direction. Oh, I feel like I gotta sneeze again. Oh, you have some things you want to add, Jason?
Really, as you say, as we're approaching market open, just looking at the tight range here, the consolidation and the squeeze of flat EMAs. For this particular market open, I would expect it to be quite volatile. I think, when you've got these flat EMAs, the price action doesn't show any respect to them anyway, so the chances are it's gonna be swinging both ways back and forth until, you know, um, the Bears and the Bulls thrash it out which way it's going to go. But I mean, it's a sort of high risk environment for me. This is definitely a sort of market open is definitely, I mean, usually it's a sit and wait and watch for the first 10, 15 minutes, but I'll be particularly expecting high volatility on this one today, especially with the news coming up in 30 minutes. So I'll probably be standing by until after the news on this one, unless does something a bit different, but just something to keep in mind with that. Um,
I agree
yeah.
with that because it's like, when you've got this little bit of an uncertainty in which direction it's really going right before the market opens. Typically, when the market opens, it just pops off really big in one direction or the other, and it may not be the direction you're anticipating.
Yeah.
So even though it's looking like up, it could very easly pull back
Yeah.
below again.
It's going to wash everybody out, longs, shorts, in the first 5, 10 minutes,
Yeah.
because right here, if you look where you are, you're in the middle of the range, so, that's the top of the range there. And let's say, you could argue this is the bottom of the immediate range over here. So we're bang in the middle of it, so it's, the worst place to be taking a trade in either direction, right?
Yeah.
If you're trading this sort of sideways price action, and it is a confirmed sideways bit of price action here, if you the way to trade that is to be taking shorts from up here back down and longs from down here back up, and
Uh-huh.
this is
In the
sort of
middle.
the cannon fodder zone. So definitely standing by and wait for that price action to make a decision which way it's going to go. Um, but I expect it could be just volatility leading up to the news because it's so close to the market open, and then maybe we'll start to see it
Yeah.
more tradable anyway in terms of my risk tolerance. Yeah,
Because what time did we have? It was it right at market open, or it's 15 minutes after market opens is the first news, right?
yeah.
And then the
We're probably
next
going to get
news
some
is there.
more of the same, this type of action over here, you know, whipsawing back and forth. Um, almost impossible to not get stopped out unless you've got a massive stop in place.
Um,
Um, yeah.
well, while we're kind of waiting, do you want to I was gonna say maybe bring up the Discord channel and talk about that a little bit, but
Yeah, why not? I'll show you guys a little
I'm
bit of coffee
going
there. Yeah,
let me go ahead and stop my
getting ready
shares.
for the trading session. Always start with a coffee. Yeah, so let me just bring that up and I'll show you what we got going on here with the Discord. For those of you that don't know already, screen share. You've got me disabled on that, Lindsay. All right. Can you see that? We'll try again. Bear with me here. Can you see that? All right. Yep. Can you see that? I'm not getting an answer in the room. Let's have a look. Yes, you can see it. Great. Thank you. Yeah, so we've set up this new Discord channel as the intention is to build a Discord server rather, is to build a community here for all traders, not just responsible day traders, but um, there are channels, as they're called, sections within the server that are geared towards, especially for responsible day traders as well, our students. But it's open to everybody. It's a work in progress. Right now, it still needs a bit more work, but welcome you all to join. We have the traders lounge here where our traders and coaches, everybody really just shares their charts throughout the day, what they're doing, and get some, so it's a positive space really to get some good feedback. Um, from other traders and share some knowledge. And then the rest of it was sort of being built out at the moment. But the intention is to have a lot of information here in terms of strategies or trade setups, all the different tools and all the information you need to know about optimizing them and using the correct tools. We've got our the weekly breakdown videos that get posted, all the links for those socials get dropped in here as well, so you don't miss out on anything really. And then the RDT student section is really where we have more sort of premium information there for students. So yeah, if you if you want, check it out. You can actually. So we're not public yet. So as the members have to be a minimum amount. So we can send anybody an email link to this if you want it. Just drop us a message in here or shoot us an email, and we'll send you the join link. That's it for me.
Yes, sir. Okay. That's it for me, man. I don't know that we're gonna have a lot to talk about today. We got 5 minutes before
I,
the
I'm
market
just looking
opens.
forward to market open now because I think
Yeah.
I think it's going to get wild.
We got
I don't,
5 minutes before. Make sure you request remote control again. Oh, my nose just keeps tickling like I gotta sneeze. It's killing me.
yeah, so watch this space here.
Yeah. So I'm like looking at the fact that, it's trying to break above this Bollinger Band here. It hasn't happened yet. And this pull up to the upside is just been very, very weak. This is actually a big, big push to the downside in the 10-9-46, but it's also overnight, and we don't always trust the overnight um action when it comes to that kind of thing to tell us what we're expecting for the day. You know what I mean?
Yeah. One thing I was looking at on my charts on the daily is a pretty solid trend channel to the upside, taking in some of the historical pivots, and a significant area of that trend channel, the upper boundary of the trend channel, is got a retest here at 51.33, or a push up to 51.33. Not a retest, that'll be an all-time high. So 51.33 is um, an actual dynamic resistance zone based on a higher trend channel. I've got it marked out on my charts, but um, just that's just above the previous high, which would make
So,
sense as
okay, I was
well.
gonna say it's a little
Yeah,
bit higher than
yeah, 51.33 is where I'm pretty confident if we do move to the
right
upside,
here.
that's where we're heading, at least to that area. Probably
Okay.
break through it. You never know how the price action behaves when we're in the all-time highs, it can just defy logic and because it's no man's land. There's no previous reference up there.
Exactly.
There's nothing for it to hold it up there. It's it gets euphoric, or traders do, and that's ultimately, if people keep buying it, it's going to keep going up. It's nothing to stop it.
Well, that's why I've got these all these yellow lines. It's because every time we made a new high, I brought in a yellow line.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I never thought we'd see 5,000. So it's especially after the current economic climate, like with the breakdown,
Yeah.
the massive breakdown in the market that we had. I mean, the recovery has been just defied all belief, to get up to these numbers.
Yeah.
So
Yes, I totally agree.
it's totally, it's just goes to show, you can never really know what the limits are, how far it's going to go. What are we, 2 minutes from market open?
Yeah, so I'll expect it to start kind of moving a little bit more now that it's only 2 minutes until market opens. Usually people start to kind of get the itch to get started right before.
Yeah,
And so it looks like it's gonna try and attempt to break this little pivot right in here. It's not a very strong pull away so far in the MACDs to the upside on the
yeah.
1597, but it looks like it's making the attempt.
We just don't know how many millions of order waitings are on there that are going to get filled the moment the bell rings, right? And
Yeah, which is
that's
in like probably
that's
like 30 seconds.
that's why you get that volatility, and it's kind of hard to know what the MACDs are going to do at this point here.
Man, I'm I'm struggling over here today. Like, I'm trying not to, but I am struggling. I think the next thing I need to take stock in is like freaking Kleenex.
Yeah,
So I swear I've gone through so many in the last little bit.
yeah.
Just allergy season is awful for me this year. All right. All right. And we're off, as my mom used to like to say, like a herd of turtles.
Ding ding.
All right. So we can see
Interesting.
it starting to move. All right, there we go. Look at the way the MACD is starting to really trying to pull away here. So it looks like we're gonna have a pretty good opportunity to get past this high, but are we gonna make a head and shoulders here on the 10-9-46? or is it going to exceed past there?
Looks like that flag reversal bar has done its job.
From the
At the
bottom.
at the bottom of this immediate move on the 1597
Uh-huh.
that we pointed
Down
out.
here.
No, on the
Oh,
EMAs,
right in here.
that one there, yeah, that
Yes.
flag
Okay.
reversal.
I think you might need to request remote control again since I had to reopen my charts. But that
Okay,
way you can grab it anytime you want.
okay.
Gotcha. Okay, so it is trying to get up towards that high. Um, One thing I would want to see really to anticipate this to go past there is the ability for this MACD to cross that top Bollinger Band and
Mhm.
exceed past there. Because right
Yeah,
now it's still in that little bit of a divergence look, right?
yeah.
And I really actually anticipate it to at least pull back in again and then push up if it's going to. Part of that reason being is we've created so much space between the EMAs,
Mhm.
and the EMAs are starting to open up. So it's a beautiful place for it to pull back to and roll off of to the upside. We're creating that space between the price and the EMAs here as well. And as it's pulling into the 233 EMAs, the MACDs look like they were going to remain strong to the downside, but heck, maybe it
Mm.
won't pull back as far as I anticipated.
Yeah, we're getting a color change here, sort of indicating slight change in
Where
sentiment
at?
here
You'll have
on
to
the
touch it.
1597. Yeah,
There you go.
1597 there. We're getting a color change here. Um uh, it's kind of to be expected as we're still on the inside with the BBs, as you say,
Yep.
on the 10946. So, you know, that Bollinger Band is a resistance point, right? Where we could potentially react off of it. We might break straight through it, but I would expect maybe a little reaction here, potential
Yeah, and you had a
triple
nice
top.
little divergence on the
Yeah,
233 to push it
yeah,
back. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. You got the divergence across here and here, and then overall, you are in divergences across all of these pivots here.
Yes.
So the MACDs have got a lot of work to do to catch up.
Yeah.
So for me, that creates a potential snapback opportunity,
Yep.
a fade back to the EMAs, because you've got
Yep.
the divergence on your side, you've got the resistance there within the potential resistance area there. Potential color change here, so potentially slow and roll, something like that. So it's not all just saying up, 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 and it's going no other way. I can see potential for a pullback or a snapback.
Yes. Yeah, that's
Um,
exactly what I was saying too. I mean,
yeah,
just like, and it's really great. Like, we're both seeing the same things almost for a little bit of different reasons, but the same
yeah,
at the same time, because that space that it's created, yeah, we expect it to pull back here. Also, not crossing that top band. A lot of times, what I'm going to anticipate is it to roll off that band and pull back. Oh, I'm not using it. To roll off the band and pull back right in here.
yeah,
All the space that's created here, I expect it to pull back just like this, the way it pulled back in here.
yeah,
What I would typically expect if it's not going to just break through this top band is to pull back and still remain off the zero line and just get those Bollinger Bands to kind of come together more so it's easier to cross that top band. Because if they're, closer and pinching more together, it's a lot easier to cross
mhm,
than all the work it had to do up here. And then gave us a little bit of reversal bar, told us it had a great opportunity to pull back. Now, if you were so inclined, you could look at this as an opportunity to pull back and take a move back to the downside. I mean, it's a good, 5, 7
yeah.
points
You're on the
right in between
right
there.
side of the price action there for what we were talking about earlier. That we're currently sideways, right?
Yeah.
Until we break higher highs, we're
Yeah.
currently sideways. So those are the type of trades to be taken. From one extreme
To the
up,
other.
from here
But,
down, or
oh,
from
yeah,
below
yeah.
up. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the
I would
safest
have a
place.
difficult time though because of the way the 1597
Yeah,
eased across that bottom Bollinger Band yet. So it's not something I would take. I'm just
no,
saying there's a lot of
mm,
space and we do expect it to run back down there. So me personally, I'd be waiting for it to pull back into the area of the EMAs and then
yeah,
make the determination at that point, is it going to push up to the upside and probably be
mm,
looking more to
Yeah.
continue with that if it's going to.
Also, looking at the BBs on the 10-9-46, if you look at all the moves down compared to the moves up, you know,
Uh-huh.
up here, not as strong as the move down, and
Yeah.
then up here, not as strong as the move down, and now this move here is not as strong as the move down. So I still think um makes sense because we're in uncharted territory. Like, so anytime you move into these all-time highs, there's going to be a lot of sellers up there, right? People that think it just can't go any higher. So, and they're often wrong, So, but that's this is a place for sellers to be jumping in as well, all-time high territory, um, fading it back to resistance or support. Sorry. Um, yeah, that's why you're going to get that.
There we go. There's that pullback happening. It's breaking that bottom Bollinger Band. So all of this little pull up that was happening here, and I pay a lot of attention to this. The MACDs, oh, sorry, let me take that. The MACDs just would not pull up with it, and they stayed purple and kept rolling down. And we see it's getting that distance outside of the Bollinger Bands here on the 1597, which gives us great opportunity to pull back into the EMAs. But, like I said here, or like we looked at here, those EMAs were wide and spread apart. We pulled back into it. What happened? We bounced off of it and pulled back even further, which is something we could absolutely see happen here. Um, we don't want to put too much weight on using this area currently as an area to push up because we can see pretty much traditionally in this little area that we're just breaking through that pretty quickly, or traditionally in this time period right here.
Um,
And the MACDs are super strong to the downside right
yeah.
now.
We're getting that expected reaction that we were talking about there on
Yeah.
the BBs, at least a reaction as we get to that Bollinger Band. Okay, it
Yep.
could break through, but at the very least, I'd expect a pullback. And that's what we're seeing right now, which is good.
I don't think I have any
Um,
comments on. Okay, no, there's no comments on YouTube yet. So just looking through, making sure that we're not missing anything. Let me pull this up. I'm just keeping an eye on the comments and on the participants. Okay, so we pulled back into the EMAs, which are, in technical terms, they were starting to show a bit of strength. But as we said, we've seen this whipsaw back and forth, back and forth. We'd really want, at this point, I say, prove it to me. Prove it to me that this area is going to hold. And let's
um,
see if we're going to get a bounce off of this, or are we going to push through it? Like, here's where I was talking about. We want to see these Bollinger Bands start to get closer and closer together, so it's easy to break, or it's easier to see kind of
mm,
what's the word I want to use? Where it's just more, I guess, conformed at that area. That's not really what I want to use. I can't think of the word I want to use, but um, what we want to see is kind of this pull back and these Bollinger Bands get closer and closer, and then possibly see it roll up and pop off. Right now, it's looking like it's trying to create a bit of a head and shoulders on the 10-9-46. So a lower pivot, higher pivot, lower pivot. So we have things that are telling us that this could push down, and we have things telling us that this could push up. So our best bet is to wait until we find something that we're comfortable with. And that may mean sometimes that you're sitting here for a little longer than you would like. But I think one of the biggest things about trading is having the discipline to sit through those things and just let them happen and not feel like you have to be a part in every single move that happens.
yeah, yeah. Or just go off and do something else for 20 minutes. Come back to it. You know,
Yeah.
save your
I do that
save
often.
your mental capital for when you need it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Looking at the 10-9-46 here, if I can pull this across,
Sure.
see. So you can see we're in quite a significant area up here, right?
Yeah.
In terms of resistance and supports. support, previous support and resistance zone here. So there's been a lot of this in the past going on in this area and this particular price. So, okay, we got the breakout there, and then it just V-shaped and snapped straight back. But the key area is where we are now, where these are where all the pivots are. These are where price has been battling back and forth, trying to get through. Made it through once and then came straight back down, got back in there again, used it as resistance. Um, Less so recently, and these two swings, sort of moved to a lower support level. But I'd be interested to see how we um, how we react to this zone here when we get down to these previous support resistance zones, a bit
Uh-huh.
lower around the 5100. Nice
Yeah.
round number. Let's see if it starts to put in a support there. Then they may, be some confidence for push continuation to the upside.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. I mean, it's got a nice pullback happening right now, which may want to convince you to that we're going to be going down for a while. But we've seen this already happen right in here, right? We did a nice strong pullback just into the EMAs until it popped back up. Now, I mean, like we said, we anticipated this to pull back, right? We saw
Mm.
this, it told us, oh, if you're not paying attention, you're going to be trying to take a long here and get run over as soon
Yeah,
as it pulls back.
exactly. Yeah. That's
All these pullbacks into the EMAs here, I'm sure there were a lot of people attempting to push this up, and then we're a little upset whenever this pullback happened right in here. Um, but just waiting for it to pull back into an area that gives you a lot more confidence and not just kind of trading out in the middle, which is what this would have been right
yeah.
here with all the distance to the EMAs. Does it go up like that? Yeah, it did right here. Absolutely. Pulled back, went up, but you can see the difference in the way the MACDs reacted, just barely pulled in, went up. This pulled down to the bottom Bollinger Band, which would have like typically been a reason to take the trade, but just watching the way other things were behaving told us to just be patient, wait. You can see it's pulling right down into the area Jason was talking about and making the push up there right now.
Yeah, I mean, we could see the potential for like an interim move at the market open, to the upside, um, a push in that direction, but that doesn't mean to say it's going to trend and continue to the upside. And for all the reasons we've already discussed, the big one is what's happening with the higher time frame MACDs and these
Yeah.
repeated lower lows, the risk of that holding and rolling
I
on the
do just want to
BBs.
say one thing about those MACDs though. The last few times the MACDs pushed through, they had a ton, big moves
Mhm.
to the downside with the purple BBs.
Yeah,
This time, all of this pullback that happened here, that is the one purple BB we've had so far. And that was, for the
yeah,
previous bar. So we had these couple of bars really start to pull back. All of this action
yeah,
happen and not have much of a reaction in the MACDs just yet. There's only
yeah,
1900 ticks left in here, and that BB, we'll watch it. That's that live BB. It's changed from purple to
yeah.
blue to purple to blue. So we're going to see, but it's still been a very weak retracement back in the MACDs compared to what's happening in the price.
Yeah. And this is the sort of point where, as I mentioned, I want to see if this area will hold. Because then, now what the MACDs are showing here is the potential to snap out. You've got a retracement divergence there on the MACDs on the 10946. So there is the potential for it to break out. Um, But the problem is you're stuck in the middle of this range with the highs
Yes.
and the lows. And that's the
Yes.
problem. You've got to weigh up the risks. Yes, it could potentially break out, but it's a danger zone to be trading in the
You're
middle.
still in the middle. Yeah.
So
We're in the middle here and we're still in the middle here.
that's why it takes that experience, like to know when you've been, burnt enough times trading in the middle,
Yeah.
that even though you can probably call it as a push to the upside, you get a nice flag reversal here. Um, you need to have a lot of confidence and a lot of things on your side, a lot of confluence of indications before you get into that. And then yeah, potentially this is the only point where I would have been considering a long maybe from here, apart from
You
pre-market,
need to
where
click
the
click on the screen again.
yeah,
Right there.
potentially this
Yes.
area, if it does hold, it
Yes.
does, the MACD start to show the signs we want to see. There is a potential for to push up now. I mean, prior to that, the snapback opportunity was quite a good one. You had the retracement divergence across the BB's here. That was a nice opportunity. And then it was just the pre-market really, really that was the trade to be in. But right now I think whipsawing a bit more, flat EMAs,
The only
consolidation.
time I really am okay with trading, I guess, in the middle is when we have a very strong trending market.
Yeah.
When we've had a whip back and forth like this, it's really hard for me to trade in the middle because it has such an opportunity to still pull back further. It will show signs of what looks like it's going to push up, and then boom, it goes right in the opposite direction. So if I had a really strong move in my bigger tick charts, like on the 10-9-46, and there was a lot of strength, maybe something that looked like
Yeah.
this, and I had some pullbacks in the middle at that point, fine. That's fine on my smaller tick charts. But whenever you've had just that whipsaw going back and forth, it's so much harder to trade in the middle.
Yeah.
So because I see all the reasons for this to continue up. Nice little reversal bar happening right in here. EMAs open to the upside. We had the area, not just of the EMAs, but also of this price support. And we had a very weak rollback, pullback in the MACDs, like those two little purple BBs compared to what we saw in these moves to the downside aren't very significant, but they're not done yet, right? So we may see this still pull back. Um, just still purple, still rolling down. It's not turned blue yet. And that's one of the things that's really, really important about watching the live BB and paying attention to how much you have left in your tick counter, because this may look blue for a little bit and you're thinking, "Ooh, okay, it's going to go up. It's blue." And then as we're getting closer and closer to close of that bar, you can see what's happening. It's
Mm.
purple. It's rolling back to the downside. So paying attention to those things are so, so, so important.
Yeah, what we might see now is as we approach news, we're only 10 minutes out, 12 minutes out, is just hanging around,
Actually,
some
did we
trade.
just have news? We had news come out like 2 minutes ago, and then we got another news in
Oh,
12.
okay.
Yeah.
So when's the next one?
The next one is in 12 minutes. So we had one at 8:45 and one at
Yeah.
9.
Yeah. So next one coming up 12 minutes. We might get some hanging around here, leading up to that. But if I was in a trade now anyway, I would be about right to step out of the market and wait for that news anyway. So
You mean if you, oh, yes, yes.
if I was already in a trade, I'd be out
I
of the
don't
market
know.
now.
I'm the
Good time to
worst
make a
about that.
coffee.
I'm the worst about that. Like if I'm in one, unless it's FOMC, I'm not getting out. And sometimes that works out in my favor and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah,
But like if it's FOMC, I don't want anything to do with it. I don't want to be
yeah,
in it because you never know what's going to happen. That goes just so haywire that it could just fly through your stop and not even take you out. And next thing you
mm,
know, you're bewildered and and dazed,
yeah,
and you're like, what happened?
yeah. So we've had a sort of second. You can see we've got like a triple bar here on the
Yeah,
support
really
area that
trying.
really trying to hold.
Hard close down,
Um,
hard close up on the
yeah, hard goes down, hard goes up.
1597.
So you can see that the double bar here. It's trying to hold.
It's trying. I don't know if it's going to. Just looking at the way the BBs are pulling back on the 10-9-46, I really need to see them start to roll, and on the 1597 to break that top Bollinger Band, which is not happening as of yet. So, I want to see. I want to see this. Oh, hold on.
Sorry,
It's
sorry,
okay.
I've taken
It's
control.
okay. I want to see this really pop that top band. We're not
Yeah.
very far under the zero line. We haven't technically shifted the direction to the downside, even though we've gotten below here, because I like to see it pull away from the EMAs before we consider that a break of the EMAs. Otherwise, it's just kind of a extended over to the other side a little bit, kind of like right in here. So the direction is still technically up on the 1597 and on the 10946. Now, if the market is moving very, very slow too, and you're uncomfortable with it, a lot of times what we'll do is we'll pull up the 610 and the 4181, which I do have a lot of students who try trade the 610 4181 combo instead of the 233 10946. So they might find something just a little bit easier in here. And so look at all these price bars here, and the BBs are still really trying to push to the downside on the 4181. So I definitely
Mm,
wouldn't be taking any long trades at that point either, and just be
mm.
waiting.
Wait and see. Yeah.
Yeah, the way it's popping off here and pulling down. So sometimes you can get a clear picture, especially when you're stuck in tighter ranges. You can get a clearer picture by looking at the 4181 610 combo. And if it is really, really slow, then I pull this over and I have the 610 1597 233 combo. And but your targets have to be a lot closer at that point. You don't
Mm,
expect it to go for 10, 15 points if you're using such a small um, charts combination like that.
yeah.
Ooh,
Yep. Wish we had a more exciting market environment for
yeah.
you.
You guys got any
Um,
questions over anything?
yeah, now's the time.
I know a couple of you guys in here are students. So I just want to make sure that things are nice and clear, that you can see our reasoning in the way that we do things. And I'm thinking about that, Tim. We need to see some homework from you soon.
Ooh, pulled out live.
No way. Yeah. Got called out live. I don't think he's paying attention right now, though. He's probably
No,
trading.
probably multitasking. AFK away from keyboard.
Is that what that means?
Yeah, it's gamer terminology. Yeah.
Yep,
You're
definitely not
you're you're
me.
someone you're someone who
He would know. He would
yeah.
definitely know.
Yeah. So for me, the only opportunities I'll be looking for here is fading the weakness in one direction or the other. So what I mean by that is, if price pops up here, and then I see strong signs of that being a weak move, then I would look for a potential for it to snap back down. That keeps me in, trading in the right areas for this sideways price action. And if price pops down and it starts to look weak and maybe puts in a retracement divergence, then I'm looking to trade it back into the middle again. And that's really the only opportunities I'll be looking at until we get confirmation like of a direction, which we don't have right now.
Yeah, and the 10946 is still in the same place for me, right?
Hmm.
It's still very, very weak MACDs compared to what we saw prior. We're still sitting at the bottom Bollinger Band. We are still outside here, so it could roll down on the 1597, but I'm really just kind of sitting here and waiting to see my personal feeling, which I don't want to go with feelings ever,
Hmm.
is that it looks like it's going to continue to the upside. But are we going to get, a nice little pullback or something really sharp before we do? I don't know.
Yeah.
Just really with this weak retracement, even though it's coming off that top Bollinger Band here on the 10946, the way these MACDs have just so weakly come down. Um, Now, those Bollinger Bands didn't give me the opportunity that I was looking for, which is for them to come closer and closer together, right? To make
Hmm.
it easy to pop on one side or the other. They've still got that distance between them. I'd want them something more like this, really pinched together and easy to cross to the other side. And I'm not seeing that, but which means it could just as easily go down.
Yeah, little conversation going on between Dan and Tim. He
I
asked me a
see.
question about the charts. Yeah, really,
So,
we
well, his question is just for those who may not be here is like,
yeah.
Jason, how have you progressed with your chart combinations? As I recall, a couple of years ago, you were using the 233 more.
Yeah, and that's basically related to the market environments, right? So, I still use both the 610 and the 233 as my entry charts. I'd say more the 233 just because I'm able to make more precise entries and exits with it. Um, but it really depends on the range of the market, the price action, the volatility. In this type of market environment, when it's slow, um, I'd probably be in this particular situation be using the 233 because I'll be, scalping small moves, 2 3 points and getting out at the first sign of trouble. Um,
Yeah.
whereas when we've got some nice price action, I'm probably going to be more likely to be trading the 610. So I do flick between the two and see if one's giving me some information that the other one's not. It's I used to have a fixed approach to it, with the chart combinations like 233 always with 1597 and 1090 46. But now I just like I say I switch between the two based on the price action mainly. Um
I think the
233 is
reason
good
I
for
like the 233 the most is
mm,
it just allows me to have smaller risk,
yeah,
you
smaller
know?
risk, precision
Yeah.
entries. I don't
Yeah.
find it that helpful for my exits, to be honest, because I find that I tend to be getting out of the trades
A
too
little
quick.
early. Yeah.
Yeah. So if
I
I'm in
get
a
that.
trade on a 233, I'll probably flip over to the 610, looking at the exit there.
Got you.
Um,
I do
yeah,
have
so
to work hard to stay focused on what my bigger tick charts are saying at times, whenever I'm looking at the
yeah,
233, because it will give exit signals way quicker. So yeah, I work hard to look at
yeah.
the
And I've had a bit of a revival of the 4181 as well. So
okay.
I really like that chart now. And yeah, we've gone back and forth with it, but again, only in certain market environments and only when it's got something to offer me that the 10946 hasn't. There's some information on there as a retracement divergence showing up on the 4181 that no one else is showing me, or no other chart is showing. So um, that can be dangerous. Like that's
Yeah,
obviously,
I was gonna say, like,
yeah,
sometimes that's us searching for a reason if we just go
yeah,
to one
yeah,
chart. Yeah.
yeah. But the 10946, I mean, it's my top view, my overall view. Obviously, we've got higher time frames than that, but and we glance at the other ones, a couple of times a day maybe. But 10946 always there. The 4181's right next to it,
Yeah.
and just flick between the two really. Um, but
Well, and
you
honestly,
know,
with the way the market has moved in the last, year or more, the bars are a lot longer. The
mm,
the movement is a little bit different. So I can see the need to use the smaller tick charts a little bit more to kind of just because those long bars, like this one bar right here, it was just gigantic,
yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly.
And and that's all of this that we have to move, but it gives you a lot more opportunities when you're looking at the smaller tick charts,
Mm,
than you're looking at the bigger because you've got to
yeah,
wait for the move to kind of complete on the bigger tick charts. I just want to say that Tim also said I can't speak for Jay, but the smallest I like to use is the 610. Maybe during super slow periods of volatility, the 233 could replace the 610 or just be used more often. That's exactly
yeah,
what we are just saying right there.
yeah. Um, we've got our stripes. We've been through all the chart combinations, so we know
Yeah.
the pros and cons of all of them. And how they work together. And so when you've done that, you're able to know when's the right time to use it, when you shouldn't. This comes with a bit of experience.
All right, so we have news coming out in 1 minute, and we'll go a few minutes after news because hopefully it'll pick up just a little bit. Um, but yeah, I didn't think about class being on a Friday with it being a
Nah,
little slower than
yeah,
usual.
you never know. I mean, I think Friday afternoon might
Holy
be. Oh,
moly.
here we go. Oh, here we go. So, is it
There's the
going to head to
news.
that? I'm interested to see if we make it to 51.33. That was the target I was looking at.
That is where you were looking to
Um,
go.
but
Love the way these
that's gnarly.
maxis This is what just never reached that bottom Bollinger Band and popped up. Let's see if it's going to exceed that top. Ooh, that was a big move down. I mean, it's news, so
You
it's
sure you're holding through
erratic.
news?
Hey, if I'd have
Not.
been in a long, it'd have been perfect,
Oh
right?
yeah,
Because that's
you'd
where
have
I was
killed it.
thinking
Yeah,
was longs.
yeah, you'd have killed it.
But
It,
I'd have been like, my heart would have been just racing after this. And would I
yeah.
have exited with this big reversal bar? Would I have waited for it to pull all the way back and like
Would have been
not
stop.
gotten
Close,
as
close,
much
close,
of a
close.
profit?
Take any profit you can
Yeah,
and
get
move right
out.
now. Like,
Actually, if I'd have had it there, it'd hit my targets immediately and I wouldn't have been able to do anything about it, but that's okay.
so this is a classic manipulation, you know.
Yes.
It's gonna hurt a lot of people. Everybody that had their stop, you know, in place behind these two pivots, well, they've just been liquidated.
Yeah.
Um, and often when I see that can be, or when you do see that, that can be an indication of the potential for, you know, continuation to the downside. Um, could swing up there a few more times. Um, but when you've got a solid area with a lot of retailers in that area and you get a manipulated washout, is for a reason. And usually the reason is to go the other way.
Yes.
So
That's usually
yeah.
exactly the reason.
So that's kind of like a little clue, you know, to me. You know, I think, interesting. Let's see. Let's see what as we as the buyers are still trying to push it up, whether they can break out this area. If we break out this area here on the
The
BBs
top
on the 10
Bollinger Band.
946, yeah, top
Yeah.
Bollinger Band, then we got the potential. Until that happens, really, I just
Yeah.
see it as unlikely at this point to really you get those V-shaped reactions. You know, if it
Yeah.
was going to break out, this was the opportunity for it to do so. Why
Yep.
didn't it continue? So it's about building that narrative and like part of the whole thing with trading, aside from the technical analysis, is like building that narrative, looking at the evidence and building the picture to give you confidence and which way you think you're going to go, if any way at all. Like at this point, still sit on your hands.
Yeah. I agree. And also, is my mic on? Yes. Okay. I keep pausing it every time to, blow my nose and not gross people out. But with this long reversal bar, it does look like we're going to go back down. But we also have to keep in mind that news is erratic and it's a little bit different. So that doesn't exactly mean that we're going to see that be the game changer. Like
Mm,
you said, I'd have to
mm,
see, are we going to break through? And I have gotten into a habit now that I don't just look at the first BB breaking through. I want to see the second one confirm it.
mm.
Because a lot of times these days that BB will like this kind of like break through and then snap back in really quick.
Yeah,
So I like to see what that second bar, the information that second bar gives me too. And like, look at this on the 233. It was so extreme that it reached an area we've never reached before in
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
in the MACDs. So that was
Yeah,
such an
all-time
extreme
highs
move.
on the
Yeah,
MACDs. Yeah,
because normally two is the highest that we get, and that one just shot up all the way to three. And you notice, just so you notice I didn't put it all the way at the top. I like to actually use the Bollinger Bands as my areas where I'm putting my support and resistance in the MACDs, because these will shoot past it, and just like they do with the price, they snap back in,
yeah,
right? All right, here you go. That reversal bar is doing its thing and pushing down. And we had a pretty good indication that was going to happen. Why?
yeah,
Because we pulled up to that top Bollinger Band. And now those Bollinger Bands are pinched a lot closer together. So they're going to be a lot easier
easier
to
breakdown.
violate above or below or above or below. Where here it was just getting a lot harder because they had so much space between them. The more they
Yeah,
get pinched and pinched together, the easier it is going to be to get above or below them.
everything makes sense for down at the moment.
Yeah.
Like I say, with that washout of the double bars on the left hand side here, you know, like I say, usually that happens for a reason. With the repeated divergence across these pivots here, with another one here now. So
I mean,
but
it
it
does
is
make sense. We'd still
mm,
want to get, I mean, and those EMAs are very weak on the 10 9
yeah,
46. Let me
they're
look at
weak.
what they're looking like on the oh, they're trying to open up on the 28 6 57. Let me just pull this up here so we can get another just opinion or, view on what's happening. So those freaking babies are just stuck in
Compressed.
the middle. They are just like, and these areas can
Mm,
suck to sit through, but once it breaks through those areas, typically we see a nice pop, right?
it's going
So
to get
while this
gnarly,
is,
yeah.
yeah, so this is just going back and forth and doesn't give us a lot of information about the price that we're seeing. It actually says that there's not a lot to do with the price that you're seeing there because
Yeah.
we want to see it break above or below. All right, Dennison, you have a great day. Thank you for
Yeah,
being
take care,
here.
Dennis. Speak to you soon.
Um, and so these EMAs are not open with strength, but I see the possibility for them too. So Jason sees more of a possibility for a push back down. I probably see more of a possibility for a push
Mm,
back up. But really, it's hard to tell until we break through one of these Bollinger Bands here.
yeah.
But that is pretty much going to wrap it up for us today. Guys, thank you so much for being here. I mean, like, really, uh, one of the things we want to pay attention to, we want to know what our direction is on our bigger tick charts. We want to pay attention to areas anticipated to give a bounce on the smaller ones. And what are our MACDs telling us about those areas? Should that area break or hold? And if it doesn't give you clear indications, and that means it's probably a really great time to sit on your hands and just learn for the day and pay attention and learn from the price action you're seeing. And you may even, say you don't want to take a trade, but you're thinking about it. So, what I tell a lot of my students to do is say, okay, man, I was thinking about taking a long here. So, I'm just going to put some arrows there so I can remind myself that I was thinking about taking a long and see what opportunities came about. Or if I did decide to take this, what was against it that I wasn't paying attention to. Just take it as a time to learn about what you're seeing. And another suggestion, when you put three arrows to show yourself going in, put one in the opposite direction to show going out. Like, so if I wanted to, say I just want to go ahead and exit right here, one arrow to the downside saying, okay, I decided to get out right here. Just so you can keep those in mind. If I had gotten in there, I would not be getting out right now, but just to keep those things in mind so you can learn from them whenever, instead of like pressing the button every time. How long do you think we should wait until the volatility from the news disappears? Typically it's 5 minutes before and after, unless it's FOMC. That will run probably for, sometimes that runs 15 minutes. Sometimes that
Mm,
stuff runs for the rest of the day.
yeah.
Crazy wild.
I'd say, it's more about really the price action, how that is it reverting back to normal for that current environment, that current day?
Right.
Are
Right.
we sort of seeing some price action that looks like this in this area here, or is
Yeah.
it still looking a bit like outside of the norm for this particular market environment, right? So algorithmic wars going on here, so
Yeah.
we want to see humans trading really, some normal type of price action.
Ooh, I like the
Um,
way it's breaking. It's really trying to
yeah,
break that top Bollinger Band on the 10 9 46, but it's, ooh, I think it may do it. Yeah. So, and like, Cesar, for that news, we really just had this one big bar. And as
yeah,
soon
wasn't
as
too bad.
this kind of started to um just even out and not have these giant bars, now the news is over. It's good to start paying attention to what we're looking for again. Anybody who hasn't traded a lot may want to wait until we break out above this area or back below here
Mm,
to trade. Otherwise, you'd be looking to take some of these quick moves to the upside and then pay attention to, am I, the Bollinger Bands, or I'm sorry, not breaking above the Bollinger Bands here. So am I going to take one of my targets out? Am I going to move my risk up? Let this run.
mm,
Definitely understanding when to move your risk is huge as well. If you got in here and your risk is still back here, that's a problem because that is 10 points to come all the way back here. I have a rule that whenever it makes a pullback and it pushes above the previous pivot, I'm going to move my risk up there. So it makes a pullback and pushes above the previous pivot. I'm going to move my risk here. This makes a pullback and pushes above the previous pivot. I'm going to move it there. But it's looked like it's really struggling to do that. Still outside of the Bollinger Bands on the 1597. Ooh, and we're seeing some real distance take off
Yeah,
on the 10946. So
looks like that
yeah,
supports hold or has held. Well, it definitely has. If you look at the multiple bottom there of support, and it
yeah,
was strong enough to make a pretty decent push up here. Um, Obviously, we're just retesting these previous areas again. So it's going to be, I don't know. I can see now the potential for it to break through with this what's happening on the 10946. So,
yeah,
but yep, it could equally just slam straight back down again. So you got to keep an eye on what's happened in the most recent past, or keep an
yeah.
eye on the hard left, as they say. What's happening, and the
Yes.
potential for just it to repeat the same thing. Right.
All right,
Do
guys,
we
I've
want
got
to
to
do we
get
want to call it?
running. Yes, I got to get going.
I need to get trading.
Let's next week, like I said, it's Dan and Cesar for Monday. So they'll be walking you guys through this same things. And thank you guys for being here. I appreciate you, and I hope everybody has an amazing weekend.
Yeah, brilliant, guys. Have a great weekend, and remember to flow, not fight with the market. All right.
That's right.
We'll see you.
Absolutely. All
We'll
right,
see
guys,
you.
look forward to catching you